Hey Southbridge, this is Charles Diaz with SCTV, and we are here today with Southbridge Meets, meeting the Veterans Council of Southbridge. And today we have two friends from the Southbridge, from the Veterans Council, President of Veterans Council, Dave Adams, and Director of the Veterans Council, Keith Roberts. And today they are here to talk to us about everything that's going on with the Veterans Council and updates and things that you should know. Gentlemen, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So let's start with maybe just a little bit in terms of, for the public, what does the Veterans Council do here in Southbridge, and what does it offer our veterans?
Okay, so I'm Keith Roberts, the Director of Veteran Services for the town. I'll swing it over to Dave to talk a little bit more about the council after I give a quick brief on what my department does in direct correlation with helping the veterans, surviving dependents of the town of Southbridge. So basically, in conjunction with Mass General Law, working with the state, I help provide or advocate for veterans and surviving dependents, advocate for benefits when it comes to housing, fuel assistance, employment opportunities, things of that nature, help keep them housed and warm, of course, shelters if need be, if we have any homeless or deemed to be possibly homeless, referrals, do a lot of referrals for organizations that I can't directly help. So I work hand in hand with a lot of other organizations for whatever the need may be. So we don't just leave a veteran or a surviving dependent hanging, if you will. There's always some sort of outlet that I'm reaching out to try to help if I can't directly help with the housing aspect. I work directly with the Social Security Administration Office, trying to help with medical needs, medical reimbursements, things of that nature. It's basically to help veterans that need some assistance.
All right, awesome. And Dave, your involvement with I know you're the president, so what is your involvement with the Veterans Council?
So being the president, one of our basic bylaws is to actually help Keith, or the Director of Veteran Services here in town, including the town administration, the town manager, the council, and others, even the health department, if we can, to kind of support what Keith does for a living in helping with veterans locally here within Southbridge.
Awesome. So how does, as a veteran, you come in and you want to get in touch with you guys? How does the process work, from start to finish with you guys, or even in between?
Okay, when it comes to benefit-wise, we do a lot of outreach, whether it's via social media, my own website, the town website, things of that nature, obviously word of mouth. And because we're a state organization, as far as regulated, there's outreach everywhere. So a lot of people are referring them to the town in which the veteran or the surviving dependent lives. Once they reach out to me, basically I got to do a whole process to find out if they're qualified. And that's through the regulation. It's a long process. But once we get them to that point, we decide what we can or cannot do. If I can do something for them, then I submit an application for benefits to the state. If it's approved, then it comes back to the town for whatever the benefit that is deemed approved. From there, if they're not qualified for my program, Chapter 115, then I'll refer them to another organization. There's a lot of organizations out there that work strictly off grants. There's a lot of veterans that don't meet the criteria to qualify for benefits as well. So in those cases, I will try to find them another resource that can possibly help them. For example, there's a couple of organizations that I work with. A veteran come in or surviving dependent, their washing machine just broke down, their boiler just broke down, things of that nature. That's something, and they might not qualify for my benefits, and that's not something that I can reimburse. I'll refer them to these other organizations, and if they meet their criteria, which is less restrictive than mine in some cases, they may get a voucher to go purchase some sort of home goods to help in that situation.
And how often do you, is it pretty busy in terms of
Yeah. And it comes and it goes.
Yeah.
Just for example, when COVID hit, individuals were getting a lot of stipends, if you will, or monthly, whatever they call those checks. And it put them outside of the financial asset limits and things of that nature. So I lost some, but then they're starting to come back.
Okay.
And then individuals unfortunately pass on and things of that nature. So then sometimes that benefit moves over to the surviving spouse and things of that nature. And that's kind of another part of my job is outreach to make sure they know that that's a possibility and to reach out to me in those cases.
correct me if I'm wrong. And in terms of the what you do in with their forms and applications, you help them essentially get these applications ready to be submitted, but you don't actually do any of the, right? Is that?
But we get many individuals that come into our offices for veterans benefits, VA benefits. In those cases, I facilitate making sure the proper forms are filled out. In some cases, I will fill them out for them because you deal with a lot of elders that aren't computer savvy, if you will, or what have you. So I'll get the information that's required, and I'll type it up and obviously get their signature. And then I will submit them personally for them. And from there, work with the veteran, surviving dependent, the VA, for whatever guidance they give, and follow up to make sure it doesn't get lost in the shuffle.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, as someone who has been in this town now, I'd say for me anyways, 10 years, and in the time that I've been here, I've seen the way that you guys honor our veterans over the years has been amazing to me, and thank you for that. And to be a part of it as SCTV gets to capture these events. What goes behind these events and ceremonies, and and for me, the one whoever wants to answer this, leading up to it and seeing it grow as it has.
Well, when it comes to the Veterans Council, we're a not-for-profit organization, so we are responsible in a lot of ways to take care of the luncheons, the celebrations, the parades, and stuff like that. Also, it's also our responsibility to go out there and reach out to veterans and surviving spouses to help them through VA claims and a few other things. So, and food assistance, and we cover a big gamut, and we're hopefully a tool. Our intent is to be a tool to Keith and what he does for a living. But when it comes to the ceremonies like Memorial Day Parade, the Veterans Day Luncheon, the Veterans Day ceremony itself has grown over the last few years to something that we could all be proud of as residents of this town. And the veterans itself have actually started to reach out even more and more and more. And that was our intent in the first place. We wanted to be when we kind of took over a few years ago, the Veterans Council wasn't where it is now. And so we changed our bylaws. We worked all on that, and our older veterans that have been part of the Veterans Council for a long time have given us the history and really shown us what we needed to do as well. So when it came to those things, just getting the outreach out there, from flyers to the residents of Southbridge to, like he said, the social media aspect of it, even the newspaper through there. We've been in the TNG quite a few times here in the last 6 months because we have helped reunite lost veterans and family members with each other, be it they were killed in action in World War II, Vietnam, or in some senses homeless in Texas. And we've been able to work with the families here and the individual and organizations abroad, and brought them home to where they belong.
Yeah, I thought that was such an amazing, service that you guys provide. Actually, do you have any good story? I know we spoke last. You kind of told us of one, I think something recent too that you're working on. So this service that you provide. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, and to add a little bit to the progression of the Veterans Council of Southbridge and how we've kind of developed a little bit bigger and bigger every year kind of deal. So as a council, we meet every month. All right. We get more and more individuals that are becoming members, which is fantastic. In that process, we get obviously more volunteers that want to help out. And with that, we started years ago now a committee. So we're already talking about Memorial Day. So probably within the next month or so, we're going to probably ask for volunteers, start a committee, more ideas the better. And then we start the coordinations of putting everything together, like Dave was talking about, with adding the schools, adding the fire department, the police department, things of that nature. So it's an ongoing process when it comes to the actual making it bigger and better every year, which is our goal, as well as the Veterans Council of Southbridge. So any veterans out there that would like to take part, we encourage you. We meet monthly. We post it on our Facebook page, Veterans Council of Southbridge. It's typically the third Tuesday of the month, but it changes depending on certain things. So please check that out and show up.
And to add what Keith is saying, we changed the bylaws back about 4 years ago. We're allowed, it was a paid position per se when it came to posts. So we used to have a Franco-American, Italian-American, Polish, and all. And it went all the way through there, and they were represented by about 3 individuals and the posts had to pay to be in the Veterans Council. They're representatives of each of their respective posts. And we got rid of that because obviously there's no posts left anymore. We just made it as if you're a veteran from Southbridge and you are interested in becoming a member, you show up to the meeting. You're still not a member until you get voted in, but it's obviously your cue to if you want to partake or not. But also we bring in veterans that may live in Sturbridge or may live in Charlton and even further east or west. And as long as they have a tie to Southbridge, and maybe even grew up here but moved somewhere else, they could be part of the Veterans Council. So we open that door to quite a few veterans that may not have had that opportunity.
So even if you're out of state as well, or do you generally try to keep it within Western Mass or kind of
within Massachusetts itself?
Got it. That's great. The service that you provide in terms of allocating or finding that there are some veterans that had deceased in combat and weren't able to, families weren't able to get anything in terms of any remains of that nature or something to bring back to them. So that's something that you offer.
Sometimes we fall into it. Sometimes the word of mouth that we're here has grown, and they reached right out to us. So one case was about a year ago. There was a gentleman that was homeless down in Texas, and he had passed away, and he was a veteran. And the last thing, there was an organization that tries to reach out before they mass bury these veterans with an honorable service. And they reached out and gave us a call and said, do you know their family? And so they gave us a little bit of a piece of information from the family. We went through social media, and sure enough, we found, I believe it was the nephew, and his mother was still alive, which would be the brother of the veteran. He had passed away. We found it just in time that his ashes were going to be buried the next day. Wow. And we were able to reach out and bring those ashes through the family back up here to Massachusetts to be buried alongside, all the relatives up here. So that's a great story. And right now we're kind of working on April 9th in Arlington, where there was a Southbridge veteran that died in World War II in the Austrian mountainside in April of 1945. And they just did the DNA about 4 years ago during COVID, and they found a relative that lives in Natick, and now a few of us veterans, he's going to be buried in Arlington National Cemetery, and we're in contact with the family, and we're going to go down there as Southbridge veterans and show respects to the family and obviously the veteran who died in World War II.
Wow, amazing. That's such a great story, and just something that you guys go, to me, seems a little bit even above and beyond, of what you provide. Or maybe you guys have always provided this, but it's someone who doesn't know. I think this is such an amazing thing that you do. And with that, I mean, going back to, the ceremonies and this past year, something that kind of struck me with once being out here in front of the town hall where we had the Memorial Day service. I believe it was a Memorial Day, Veterans Day, where we ended up at the hotel afterwards.
Yep, Memorial Day parade.
It was a Memorial Day parade. Amazing as always. Grew this year, seeing the schools involved. And then what's something that kind of stood out to me was the participation of one of your veterans, Dan Dono, and the museum there, he kind of created there with the uniforms and the different branches of the military. I thought that was so well put together. Can you guys talk on that?
Dan, so that's during the Veterans Day luncheon that we have.
Yeah.
And Dan is the Air Force veteran. And this is what he does for a living. And so we reach out to him, and the only thing he asks us to do is feed him.
That's awesome.
But I mean, this is something that was, Keith, and I and quite a few other veteran council members had talked about, and it just made each event that we do better because we we have no problem doing an after-action report and say what we did right, what we did wrong, or indifferent, and then we grow from that point on.
Yeah, well, I found Dan basically from participating
Right.
in Charlton Veteran Luncheon, and he does that every year over there. That's where he's from. So basically, that was his how do I say, what he planned to do every year. And it's like, well, let's bring him in. It's something that I think all veterans would appreciate, especially seeing the history and the historic value of where soldiers have come from, the uniforms, and the progression of where we are today.
I believe even Mike utilized him when he was the veteran service officer here in town. And then we kind of lost it somewhere in between maybe the transitions here and there, but I know Mike Trombley had brought him in for the lunches as well.
And speaking of Mr.
Or the hospital did too.
Yeah, and speaking of Mr. Trumbley, you another event that I noticed at the luncheon was the quilt. Yeah, quilt of honor. Can you talk on that and what significance of doing it? Is that something you guys have done every year, or was this the first?
Well, it was the first one,
Yeah.
but for Southbridge. But they are amazing individuals that do these quilts, and any veteran can receive one. They just have to be requested. So we would like to continue to do those at the luncheon, not so much Memorial Day, but at the luncheon where we have a nice gathering and pay respects to our local veterans. It doesn't have to be at the luncheon. It could be at one of our meetings. It could be at the town council meeting. We can do that as well. So we'd ask that if anybody was interested, or you have a spouse that's thinking about their husband or wife would benefit from this, well, just make a phone call to us.
Reach out to us.
Yeah,
we can coordinate it, make it happen.
Awesome. Well, so far you guys have provided so much in terms of the Veterans Council, what their services are and what they provide, and obviously the events. What is the biggest takeaway that you want any veteran from Southbridge to really get from today's interview, and giving us maybe some details on how to contact you?
Okay, I'll start. So as far as I'm concerned, and what I do for the town of Southbridge and what my office provides, anybody that sees this, if you do or you don't think you could benefit from this, you probably know some fellow veterans, some federal surviving dependents that may. Big part of my job, big part that I've learned since I started this job about 5 years ago is the lack of awareness. And awareness is very key to individuals getting their hands on benefits that they either not receiving or that they deserve and could be receiving. So please spread the word, whether they do or don't. Phone call. You can find my number on the Veterans Council page and on Facebook, the website for the Town Hall Veterans Department. And you can reach out to me anytime. I will get back to you and we can go through the process, answer any questions, or get you referred to somewhere that may be able to help where I cannot. The other aspect of what we're here today for is between the support of the Veterans Department through the Veterans Council of Southbridge and the President Dave Adams, we are pushing for the new HERO Act bill. We've already had a meeting with the town once. We're gathering more information to basically help veterans, surviving spouses, take advantage of some property tax exemption relief that is on the table, passed through the state. Now we want to push it to the towns to adopt and increase that benefit for them. And Dave can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we met, Keith and I met with town manager and Dean just a few weeks ago, just to plant the seed and see what they think, and any homework that they may have to do through the treasurer / assessors and all that kind of stuff. And we hope to hear back from them very soon, and so we can go through the process of subcommittees and ultimately the town council. But the HERO Act is a game changer too, because it not only is it the property taxes, but registration of vehicles for veterans, excise tax exemption, to, my goodness, it's the definition of a veteran, because it's different in the state than it is from the federal government, and helping spouses out even more, and dependent children. So there's quite a bit to this law, and I'd recommend any veteran or a spouse or anybody else who's interested, just read it. It's a simple read, and ask questions where you ask questions, and pass that on to the veterans as well.
Awesome. Now, is that something that anybody could just go online, just type in HERO Act and then kind of get some information on it?
For Massachusetts. Oh, it's in Massachusetts.
Yeah, Massachusetts.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Actually, and then also talking as I'm wrapping up here, but just talking in terms of going online, you guys have a partnership with an entity called seemylegacy.com. Is that correct? And then that also helps in terms of if folks that want to donate towards the Veterans Council and to help with, various things. Can you talk on that?
Yeah, so we partnered up with See My Legacy out of Ohio, and what they did, and we actually received that information from Peg Dean downstairs, the economic development team. And so we took advantage of it and started working with them, hired them on. And so the donations go from coins to constant maintenance over the World War Memorial Park to now we're going to release by, I would say this weekend, the Dresser Memorial Park donation page. And I'll post it, we'll get that posted online. But this is, the Dresser Park, Memorial Park is a $2 million project. And we started passing out flyers about it. We've received already probably about $130,000 worth of donations so far, but we would like to get that before we break ground. And we work closely with the town of Southbridge because it's town property. But we're going to be successful at this, where we're bringing a lot of the monuments in, brand new monuments, changing the whole landscape of Dresser Memorial Park. And for those that want to see what it may look like or the changes it make, they can go to the World War Memorial Park that we just rededicated here. Not this Veterans Day, but the last Veterans Day, where it had just the World War Memorial monument, and now it's got multiple monuments. It's got a beautiful sign, place to sit down and relax, and new bricks, flagpole, and everything. That's just what we can do, and we did that with we didn't ask the town of Southbridge to fork up any type of local taxpayer money, and we got this through donations and then state and federal grants. So they're a great organization. You can go around online and if you want to donate through a foundation, $10,000, $5,000, it goes all the way to $100,000 down to $10. If you want to donate, and we have bricks for sale as well, Legacy bricks. So it's a good, they're a great company to work with and very easy, and they've really supported us.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. I'll just add one thing, basically. What they also provide outside of the website for helping us push our initiative, they're building us, or they have already built, in the process of building more, a web page that basically dedicates, it'll be there forever, the historic value of the parks that we're trying to build and what we've reconditioned. They provide us with a plaque, basically, with a QR reader. So in the future, we're hoping that elementary schools, middle schools will want to do it to a bunch of citizens will want to walk through these parks and learn what these monuments are all about. So basically, simple click of your phone camera, it'll bring you to the web page and it'll give you a whole historic value of what that monument means, who came before us, and things of that nature, to where an individual can learn not just the historic value of Southbridge and the veterans aspect, but where we come from.
That's awesome.
Yeah, these QR codes are pretty cool because you can put videos on them, pictures on them, which we're going to actually attach to the back of the sign right out front over at World War Memorial Park. Right behind the sign will be all those that donated, and then the QR there, you just put your phone to it, and it tells you, if Hyde Dexter, who donated money, Southbridge Business Partnership, who donated, quite a few people donated to that park. Looks at it, they can put their pictures if they want on there. We actually have a video from 1938 dedication, and we're going to add that to it, so they'll be able to do all that.
Very high tech. So it's a very interactive and engaging site to come to, which is really cool. No, that's awesome. Well, folks, if is there anything else before we leave that you guys want to maybe leave them with? If maybe something I might have missed in terms of asking, or?
As far as Veterans Department, I would just ask anybody that's either interested in seeing if you are eligible for some sort of benefits, reach out to me. If you know a veteran or surviving dependent, please reach out to them to tell them that there is a resource. And if I can't do something directly, there's a resource in town that can help refer possibly some sort of benefit if they're eligible. I have no problem anytime, any day or night. I check my messages all the time, even on the weekends. So give me a call, and I'll be more than happy to see if I can help or get you in the hands of somebody that can.
And when it comes to the Veterans Council itself, again, we're supporting what Keith does, but we also provide, it's just not the parades, it's not the ceremonies that we just provide. It really is, we can help with VA claims, we can help with food and rental assistance, as long as we have the funds available. And one thing that wasn't mentioned here is during Memorial Day, the veteran service officer for the town of Southbridge is responsible for putting flags out there at the cemeteries, and we're always looking for volunteers, and Veterans Council helps with that as well. So it takes the load off of Keith, having tried to do it by himself, and it's a great cause to put that out for Memorial Day, and but the Veterans Council itself is growing. I'm very proud of it, and a team effort from Keith to all the young veterans, but at the same time, the Korean War veterans to the Vietnam veterans that are part of it, that were the generation that helped build the Veterans Council all the way through. And if it's not for their knowledge, we'd be, in the dark trying to start something up. And these are the guys that laid the foundation for us to move on and hopefully make it better as we move along.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us here. We will make sure here at SCTV, any information that you guys, in terms of like even volunteering for with the flags and things of that nature before these big ceremonies, we'll get that word out so that folks can, if you want to sign up and join this cause, we would love to do that for you guys and see this get bigger every year. All right. Thank you so much. For SCTV, I am Charles Diaz. This is Southbridge Meets. Thanks for watching.